Baby, you don't wanna live for. Mommy's by your side till the end and through whatever. Yeah, this is our journey together. You're special cause you're different. Never let them tell you different. Yeah, you can rely on my love for forever. You and I against the world, against the world, yeah, against the whole world.
Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel.
First, I want to take the time to thank these lovely friends of mine for doing this. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. They were really honest with you guys, and you know, that's what I love about these girls. They keep it 100, you know.
Today we have some special guests, and their names are
Melissa,
Miranda,
and Jessica.
Okay, so we decided to do a Q&A, and the first question is, when did you find out your child had autism?
So my oldest son is currently 10. I found out he had autism when he was 2 years old. And then I also have a 3-year-old with autism, and I found out when he was 18 months.
Okay.
and my son is currently 9 years old, and I found out he had autism when he was 2 years old.
And I have 2 boys with autism, and my oldest is 6, and I found out he had autism about 2.5, and my younger one that is 4, I found out when he was about 18 months.
Wow. Okay. How did you guys feel about it when you guys first learned that your child were diagnosed?
With my oldest, I didn't know what autism was, so I really had no, it's kind of like a monotone feeling until I went home and I researched it and Googled, and then I started seeing what it meant and the lifestyle he was going to have. So it was a lot of roller coaster feelings, a lot of crying and sadness and why and how. With my second one, it was more of getting him diagnosed, getting him the services started at an early age, early intervention. I didn't really grieve as much as the first one.
Yeah, I could totally understand that. Your turn?
For me, I didn't same thing as Melissa, I didn't really understand the meaning of autism. And when I first found out, my manager had texted me and I told her, and she called me thinking that I would be grieving over it, but I acted like nothing. I even had a hair appointment that day. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go, I got a hair appointment. So I didn't really think anything, but it took me about a year to grieve over not having a typically developing child.
And how did I feel, right? How did I
Yes,
feel?
how did you feel?
All right, with my first, I kind of expected it. I was just expecting kind of like a "you're right" type of thing. And when I got that, it kind of felt relief. I felt relief that I wasn't the only one that thought this. And my second, I already knew the process and everything and the symptoms, so I kind of was just waiting for it. So once it finally got there, again, it was like, okay, well, here it goes again. So
Yes.
it was just a kind of, what do I do from now? I already know what I'm doing, and just go with the flow type of thing.
Now, how did your guys' family react to this? Were you guys really open about it with your family, or did you guys kind of like just keep it a secret type of thing?
I was open about it. I think that they were more in denial. Oh, he'll grow out of it, or
Yeah.
he'll speak when he's ready, he'll socialize when he's ready. Being that my family's not here, it was harder for them to understand because they don't see the day-to-day struggles. But once they got to meet him and see the challenges that we were facing, they accepted him and they're great with him, understood everything he needed to go through, the tantrums, the transitions from day-to-day stuff. They were good. They accepted and listened to what I said. If I said he can't have this, he can't do this, the grandparents were like, okay. They didn't say, oh, well, grandma, I'm gonna do whatever I want type of thing. So it worked out good. And for my second one, they for sure accepted it right off the bat. I told them.
Definitely easier once you get through it the first time. It's a lot easier for the second.
For me, my husband's family, they're more laid back, so we told them they were fine with it. They're just like, whatever I have to do to help, they'll back me up. My parents, on the other hand, are very old school, So they didn't want me to tell anybody. They didn't want anybody to know because that's just going to look bad that you have a child with a disability. But as we got older, they accepted what I wanted to do. It was our journey and what I wanted to talk about. That was more of a healing process for me. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about his story. That way people could also learn from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. My family and my husband's family, they didn't know what autism was. So it was a learning experience. And they didn't understand it. So they're kind of like, they didn't have a good or a bad. It was just like, what are you talking about? And it was all a learning experience from there. So they just took it as I don't know, your child has like a cough. Oh, okay, well, what do we do now? Like, it wasn't anything, they didn't know what autism was, so it wasn't a major thing, and it wasn't like a little thing. They just had no idea. So then we just went from there.
Yeah. Now, what made you guys get services? I know some people like it, different reasons. And I'm curious to know what made you guys get services.
Well, I worked in preschool growing up, so I knew the early intervention helped for kids to develop. The doctor wasn't the one that gave me the script. He just gave me the PDD-NOS, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. That was the paperwork I got first. And then once I started Googling and calling around nonprofit organizations, they started kind of guiding me. And when he was placed in a center-based program and I met other moms, they're like, no, you need to do speech, OT, PT, ABA. And I'm like, I started writing everything down. I was guided by other moms that had older kids. So that helped me a lot.
That's awesome.
For me, our developmental pediatrician is the one that guided us. He said, this is who you need to call. This is the regional center. I'm going to give you all the referrals right now. You're going to have PT, OT, you're going to get ABA. He did everything for me. That way I knew what to do. He even told me, he's like, I also have a class that I teach parents, which is like a counseling class for parents that have newly diagnosed children for you to attend. So he's and he's still my son's current doctor. Even though he's all the way in Downey, he's an amazing doctor.
That's awesome.
Everyone's going to be like,
good-
what doctor
good
you go to?
support.
That's your doctor.
Comment below if you need the info.
In the description below.
Right? For me, it was my oldest son. He was born with a hearing loss, so he was already in early. What is it called?
Intervention.
Yeah. So he's already in that, and it was this teacher that kind of was like, oh, there's some red flags. Here's in the regional center. And in the regional center, went from there, and we went from there, and this is all kind of went from there.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you guys were able to get like a support system that helped you guys get services. Now, how do you guys feel when you guys had your children get meltdowns in public? Like, how was it in the beginning? I know it's really hard to cope with. So how would you describe it at first?
Embarrassing. Felt like a failure because nobody knew why, and then especially having two kids, they're probably like, oh, she can't control both of them. Alone. But I think I have it worse now because they expect a 10-year-old to act more mature. It's easier to deal with a 3-year-old because it's typical for toddlers to throw a tantrum versus a 10-year-old to act out in public. So it makes it hard for that stage versus a 3-year-old. I'm a little bit more like, oh, okay, he's 3, I can kind of write it off as typical. But for a 10-year-old, the jumping around, goofing off, not acting his age, that's the part that's hard. I think I get more embarrassed than him. He doesn't care. He's like, oh, whatever. But still got to take him out, so try to teach him.
Yeah.
It's really good that you guys are able to still live your life no matter what,
Yeah.
Same thing. My son's 9 years old. He's almost 10, but he looks older than his age because he's tall. So it's the same thing. They always look at him or they give him dirty looks, but then I get mad. I don't get embarrassed. I sometimes get embarrassed, but it's more I get mad when people are staring because I feel like, don't stare. Stop judging. It's not your place to judge. When he was younger, it was more embarrassing because I really didn't know what to do to help him get through what he was getting frustrated with until we started getting more ABA, them going out with us in the community, and then them teaching us how to help him get through a meltdown. But my husband is the one that I would say gets more embarrassed now than I would.
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder for our significant others to
Yeah.
actually deal with meltdowns.
Yeah.
Especially because most of them are either at work or stuff, so they're not really used to that, you know?
Right.
Yeah, they don't know the
We are.
techniques that we
Yes,
use.
that we use and stuff like that. Jessica?
Man, at first, I'm not gonna lie, it is embarrassing. We're human. It's like you have some kid acting up, and you just always automatically think, oh my gosh, like what are they're gonna think I'm a bad parent, they're gonna think I don't want a parent, blah blah blah. That is your first thought, I would think. So when he was younger, I'm talking about my oldest, when he was younger, they both were younger, it's kind of, like you said, it was easier to just be like, oh, it's just, he's 2, okay, a 2-year-old does throw a tantrum, it's fine. But now that he's getting older, and I'm getting there, like he's 6 now, and it's like, he looks like he's taller. So it's like, it's not typical for a kid this age to be doing that. And my oldest is a little on the severe side, so he's doing the hand flapping, he's doing those weird noises. You can tell he has autism or something. I don't know what people think. But you get the stares. I get the stares a lot. It's not even just when he has a meltdown. It's just, everywhere, it's just all the time. That's just how he is. It's just sensory. He's just jumping. He's yelling. It's not even a meltdown, but I always get the stares. But now, I gotta just get used to it. It's like, that's how he is, that's who he is, and I can't do anything about it. And I can't please you, like, I don't know what you want, like, it's just, so now I just feel like this is his life, this is our life, and we're just gonna move on and go from there.
And I think as time passes by, definitely you start getting used to it, you know? Like the comments, the stares, and, you just go about your day and you can't stop going to the store, you know, because of it. But, yeah, I totally can relate. Now, were you guys always open about their diagnosis from the get-go?
Oh yeah. I wasn't embarrassed about the diagnosis itself. More of the outpour of the autism was what was more embarrassing and more challenging for me. But the actual label, it sucks to be labeled. It's not, autism isn't him as a whole, it's just a part of him, a part of both of them. So I speak freely about it. Nothing to hide.
Well, when my son was diagnosed, I was thinking, okay, well, what if he doesn't have autism? What if we're just saying he does? But you're just asking me a bunch of questions. It's not like you're really testing him, like doing a blood test.
Right?
How do you really know?
Yeah.
So I told his doctor, well, what if he does? What if he doesn't have it in the next year or 2? And he was really nice. He even told me, he's like, if he doesn't have autism, I would take the label off. But let's just go with it and let's just see how he does. So that kind of put me at ease. Okay, well maybe I'm wrong.
That's a really good doctor, though.
That's great. Yeah. What was the question? Was I ever
were you ever open about the diagnosis?
open? Oh, always. Yeah, always. There was, without a doubt, always. I still am. And always will be.
She rocks the purse, the hat, the shirt, the nails.
Yes. Okay. Okay, now, do you think autism is the main cause or has played a role in separation or divorce? I know this is a really big topic, and I will definitely like to know your guys' input on that.
I'm not gonna lie, when Paxton was first diagnosed, his dad wasn't on board. He was like, no, not my son. He'll develop at his own pace. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna sit back and wait. So I did the therapies on my own. I called the insurance. I went to everything was just me and him. Then we did go to a marriage family therapist for a while. That therapist helped him cope with the fact that his firstborn son has autism. We did that for 6 months. It didn't put a strain in our marriage per se. I just felt that he wasn't involved as a parent. And that hurt because it's like we're supposed to be raising him together as a team, and I was doing it alone. But after, you know, he realized, once he started like going to the playground and seeing his son playing by himself, had no interest of other kids, he didn't talk till he was almost 3.5, while other kids were speaking in full sentences. He started realizing, okay, I guess my son is on the spectrum. I won't be able to do things that I thought I was going to do at that age, but accept him for who he is. So it did take a while, but I do know that they say the divorce rate and separation for special needs families are higher, like cops and firefighters and stuff.
Yes.
I think it plays a high role. I mean, I don't know. Ask me in 10 years, maybe I'll be divorced. But I feel like a lot of times there's like a struggle so for us, it's more of like a struggle of who's disciplining our kids. And I know that's kind of typical, like sometimes the mom plays the bad cop and the dad plays the good cop. But a lot of times, even when we're out in public, my husband will be like, go get him. Because he's running off or doing something. I'm like, you get him, you saw it, so you do it. So it's always like, oh, because I'm the stay-at-home mom and I'm doing everything and I'm the one that knows how to handle my son, that I'm the one that's supposed to do it. So we end up fighting over things like that. So I'm hoping one day he's going to realize how much I do, and then he will start to step up his game, or else it's going to lead to divorce, and then when he has the kids, he's going to have no clue what he's doing.
When to come back.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
No, definitely there is a higher rate of divorce in special needs families, autism families. And I can see why. Because it's a lot of work. I'm not saying that it's not autism that is the cause of divorce, but autism does play a role in it. And this, like these ladies say, it's just so much work, and a lot of times it's the stay-at-home moms, or just moms in general, I would think, but all part dads, that we see a lot more of it. We're with our children a lot more, and we do the therapies, we just do a lot throughout the day. So then when it's time that the men have to, you know, come in and help, I feel that it's not my responsibility. They're our child, not just mine. So you need to pick up some slack, and then so that's when the resentment comes in, and that's where the marriage kind of tumbles down. So yeah, it does play a big part of it. If it's not just because it's autism, it's because of just how each parent plays a role in autism.
And I think it's also like the coping, you know how you go through like the denial stage and the grieving stage. I think like, well, we're okay, what is it that we gotta do next? Get services done. We're over here trying to do what we can for our child while our significant other is grieving. And probably dealing with it a lot different than we are.
Different.
So we're just like, okay, what we gotta do next, you know? And I think that we want to expect the same, like you gotta be on board with us, you know?
I believe it's just a mother instinct
that
all mothers have. It's just dads just don't have a lot of that. So that's why.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, guys, so I had to cut this in 2 parts. So you're definitely done with the first one. Stay tuned for the second one and enjoy our bloopers.
I met you. Yeah. Carlos, get off the highway. Just kidding.
There we go. Cheers, ladies. Cheers. Wait, more stuff.
I know.
What are you doing?
I don't remember.
I told her that I was going to be talking and she was going to be in the back walking down the stairs.
I shouldn't be near you. Go over there.
You have a lot of editing to do. Girl, we're going to be here all night.
Take 20. Should be out of it. My boyfriend's gonna say like, what you guys gonna do? The intro.
I know.
Stop laughing. Okay. This is Amanda and Melissa show.
Yeah. Let's talk. So.
Stop. It's your fault, dude. Stop for me. I would do
Next
this.
time, no drinking.
My pink juice.
There you go.
Get your mind to
Okay. Why I'm not drunk?
drink.
You are a newscaster.
I know, she's so proper. I can't even see with a straight face. Who's hers?
A blanket? You want a blanket?
Damn, Jessica, you drank all that?
You did.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Be sure to like.
Share and subscribe.
This is our
Wait, take two.
This is our journey, yeah. This our journey.